Hello, Aubrey. How are you?
Hey Jess, fancy seeing you here.
I
Welcome.
know. I'm so excited to be here and talk about how to become a better storyteller.
Yes, I'm so excited you're here for this because would you say you're a good storyteller, Jessica? I feel like I already know the answer, but what would you say?
Yes, I am. I love telling stories. I am a person who will get up in the middle of a restaurant to act out a scene of a story. Um I love telling stories and crafting them to who I'm talking to, right? Because I want to
Same.
think about what does this person find interesting? What do they want to hear in this story?
Yes, there's nothing better than being somewhere with someone like you, right? And they're telling this super interesting story. I love it so much. I wish everyone were like that. So I'm excited for this episode because we want you guys out there listening to be great storytellers, to uplevel the interest of the stories you're telling. And we are going to give you great tips today on how to do that.
Yes, exactly. I want to share with you guys though where these tips are coming from. All right. Because this is so cool and I'm so excited to share this stuff with you. I'm working with a C2 level student right now. Okay. This person is super fluent. All right. You would think they were native. Okay. Most people would. This person wants to connect better with other people through language, and that's why they're working with me. All right. And the first skill that I'm working on with this person is how to tell stories. So, in my lessons with him, with this near fluent person, guys, I'm thinking, these skills apply to everyone. It doesn't matter what level you are. You want to be a good storyteller because this is such an important way to connect.
Yes. So today we are going to give you 2 tips that you can use to become a storyteller people want to listen
Yep.
to help keep your audience engaged while you're telling a story, right?
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you guys missed it, Lindsay and I recorded an amazing episode very recently, 2218, got conversational whiplash, how to avoid it, because
Nice.
when people are telling stories, this can happen, right? Where you're in a conversation and someone's moving between topics so quickly without getting deeper that you feel like you have whiplash.
And that is really another skill that we're focusing on today, right? It is connected to that episode, right? How do we get deeper? How do we choose the things to say, right? To get deeper.
Exactly.
So guys, definitely hit follow right now because I'm going to be on here more to talk about storytelling and becoming fluent, and definitely check out that last episode, All Ears English 2218. Scroll up, got conversational whiplash because that is so connected to today's show.
Yes. And if you're not following IELTS Energy, that's where Jessica and I are 2 times a week. And it's so fun,
So
whether
fun.
you're studying for IELTS or not. Great vocab, great conversational tips. So, yeah, follow IELTS Energy as well.
All right, let's get to the tips, the star of today's show. What is the first tip for our students to become fantastic storytellers?
Yes, the first tip is don't give a laundry list of details saying every part of the story. I love this idiom, laundry
Yeah.
list. It just means an exhaustive list, every single thing you could possibly say. TMI, too much info. We don't want all of those boring details.
Exactly. And that's why the title of today's show is Are You Saying and Then Too Much? Because that is the red flag that you are giving a laundry list of details. You're not going deep into anything. You are just listing every detail of this story, regardless of if it's interesting or not.
Yes, I am going to share a good example of when you could do
Awesome.
this, right? If you want to tell a story of a bike ride you took and you say, I had the most magnificent day yesterday. We went on a 20-mile bike ride. First, we had to pump up our tires, though, and then we had to carry our bikes downstairs. Then we rode a mile to the trail, and then we checked our map.
Ugh,
No, right? Oh,
I tuned
goodness.
out, dude. I stopped listening to that story. Like as soon as I hear like pump up tires, carry bikes, my brain is like, ugh, like that sounds so boring. I don't want to hear about
Yes.
it. I don't want to think about it.
I know, right? We use this phrasal verb tune out when we stop listening. Something is not interesting, engaging, that we have more interesting things to think about. So our brain will jump to that and our eyes will glaze over, and you've
Yep.
lost your audience. You don't want that to happen.
Exactly. And this is the focus, right? How do you know that you're a good storyteller? You know because the other person wants to listen to you because they are tuned in, they are engaged, right? So, that first tip, guys, is so important. Do not give a laundry list of details. A lot of those details will not matter to the person listening.
Right. What would you want from this story, Jessica? What would you have liked me to share?
Right. So if you start by saying you had the most magnificent day, you went on a 20-mile bike ride, I want to know what that bike ride is like, right? What did you
Yes.
see on the bike ride? Where did you go? Who were you with? Like, I want to imagine the cool part of the story in my mind.
Absolutely, right. Skip the pumping up the tires and the, oh, get to what's interesting. Absolutely.
All right, so here is the second tip, guys, following from the first. Choose the details that the listener wants to hear. Now, it's not gonna change that much person to person, right? I mean, most of the time, like, I have some stories that I tell pretty much the same way every time because I'm dialed in. I know the most interesting parts of that story, and I could tell that story to anyone and they will dig it, right? But you do sometimes want to choose different details or add different details, right? Depending on who you're talking to. A boss that doesn't care about bike riding, but has kids. A friend who cares about everything you want to say. So we do have to keep the listener in mind.
Exactly the person with kids you might talk about what snacks you brought and how you kept the kids entertained. Someone who's
Exactly.
really into bike riding, you might share where the ride was and how difficult it was because you know they care. They might actually go do it.
Exactly, exactly. So here is the skill here, guys. We want you to have the image in your head of the story. What picture do you want to paint, right? See that in your head, see that image in your head, and describe it to the listener, right? You have to know your goal. You have to know what you want to say so you can create that picture for the listener.
Yes. Jessica, give us a better example of what I was talking about, this 20-mile bike ride. How could you say that and make it really interesting and engaging?
Okay. By the way, this is all true. Okay. So
Nice. This really happened.
all right. I had the most magnificent Mother's Day. Me and James went on a 20-mile bike ride. So there's this incredible trail only a mile from my house, and it's gorgeous. And there was almost no one out that day. So we had this trail all to ourselves, and it felt like we were in the countryside. Like we weren't even in a city. We passed some rivers. We were surrounded by trees and plants and flowers. Plus, the trail is really like flat. So it was a breeze to cycle. The town we ended up at, the town we cycled to was get this. The name of the town is Boring, Oregon. And you know what? It's sister cities with dull Scotland, which I love. Anyway, we got to this town, Boring, Oregon, and we had ice cream. And then James ate every single snack that I brought.
Amazing. I was engaged the whole time. It's such an interesting story. I was engaged when you told me that story, which was just like that,
Yeah.
right? This is how you tell stories, guys. And listen to the intonation. The pronunciation is so different where you're sharing interesting details, your voice is going up and down, you're showing emotion, hitting the interesting words harder. Whereas if you're saying, and then this, you're
I
going
know.
to slip into a monotone.
Right, exactly. So there's some vocab takeaways, guys, from my example story. Aubrey, what vocab can our students use in their own stories?
So many good adjectives: magnificent, incredible, gorgeous, and then the idiom a breeze, to call something
Yeah.
a breeze and say it's easy. And my favorite, when you said, get this, to build up anticipation, right? You're pulling them back in if they did happen to drift, like, I'm about to say
Yeah.
something interesting. Get this, the town was called Boring, Oregon.
It's so fun. Oh, guys, telling stories is so fun. Connecting to other people, knowing that they are interested in you and what you are sharing. We want you guys to experience this feeling, guys. So, to really connect with other people, be engaged in your own story. Say things that you find interesting that the listener also wants to hear, okay?
Yes, remember not to repeat transition phrases like "and then," which will make your story flat. You are going to lose the life of the story, you're going to lose engagement, and you might lose that moment of connection. So, to connect with those you're telling stories to, use today's tips. I can't wait for you to practice and come back and let us know. Leave a comment on social media or YouTube. Let us know how it went when you
Yes.
told a story and used these tips.
Awesome. I love it. I am so happy to be here on All Ears English, guys.
Yes.
Hit follow right now so you don't miss another episode. And hopefully, I'll be back soon.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Jess. See you next
Thanks,
time.
Aubrey. Bye.
Bye.